Hello and welcome to today's interview. This is a part of the series of the stories of the goddess, divine feminine frequency keepers, and I am interviewing today Salma Harwell. And welcome, Salma. It is a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Bonnie.
You're
It's
welcome.
great to be here.
And for those of you who may not know, I am Bonnie Melita Cuseno. And let me just tell you a little bit about this wonderful spirit that we get to visit with today. So, there is so much to be said about Selma. Um, she is an earth goddess who is 73 years young, and she is on track for a healthy life to at least 115. I think she's going to make it. I really do. She's a woman of great faith since the age of 4, which was prompted by a trauma in her life. And she has since then filled her very full life with divine connection throughout. She's an advocate for healthy moms and healthy births, and she also coaches people to live their best healthy life. She's a yoga teacher, she's a Qigong teacher, she is a lot of wonderful things. She frequently receives transmissions from higher beings and is divinely guided by them. And she is absolutely connected to the magic of life. I can tell you that because I really had a difficult time even hitting the record button because just talking to her without the camera on was so much fun. I didn't want to stop. So, welcome again, Selma, and thank you for gracing us with your beautiful presence.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So, I just would like to maybe start with a little bit about how you came to write your chapter, and if you can give us any little tidbits about the chapter. Which, by the way, let me just interject
Yeah.
before we get into that. I just want to say, Selma and I are both really excited today because on Thursday, on March the 23rd, this book is going into pre-launch, and that is just a pretty big deal, isn't it, Selma?
It is. It is. The stories of the goddess.
Yes.
What you say, the tagline? I like it.
Divine feminine frequency keepers. I have to
There
practice
you
so
go.
I don't get too
There.
tongue twisted, but it's so on point. It's such a good tagline or such a
Yeah.
good subtitle. So go ahead, Selma, if you don't mind, fill us in. Just give us a little bit about your chapter.
Okay. Yes, my chapter is called Earth Goddess, and it went through a few changes, a couple of changes, because I was really knowing that the book was calling me. And I hadn't thought about the goddess in a while. And so then, here we are in the listening mode of frequencies, and I get, oh, I could talk about the blessing I received from Amma, the hugging saint. And really, just in that and sharing that with Rada, we were both really excited about it and everything. And I just thought, okay, I'll tell that story. As I was writing it, what ended up happening is that I started remembering many more connections to the goddess than that I'd really kind of forgotten about. And out came a poem about the goddess. And so it's included at the end of the chapter. Um, and it is about listening to the goddess within, because that's what kept happening. And I even recalled memories of all the groups I'd been a part of with women really throughout my life, like junior high, one group was 6 women, um, I mean, of course, we're just teens then, but it's still that feminine energy that brings us together. And then in high school, another group, college, and then even once, becoming a mom by 23, which was my lifelong dream since I was 7, um, having mom groups. And this was, like I graduated in 69. So this was long, long ago. And so we were pioneers of that. It wasn't done. We were pioneers of the home birth and homeschooling, all of that. And we did it all in groups of women, as well as following a female shaman, which we drew to us because we had already been together for like 10 years when, a circle of women of like 25 by then that would do new moon ceremonies and much more. And it was always really fun. We had a preschool together. I was a preschool teacher for 8 years. So many things that we did together. And all those were goddess moments because we're being playful, because we're tuned in, and we even made goddesses out of clay. Because one of the women who passed since then, but she was an art historian, and she just, introduced the goddess and let us choose which ones we were going to make. And all of that. It's just been amazing,
Yeah,
just a big connection. And all that came out of like taking on this chapter.
it's
So it's a way
beautiful.
more
It's a
experience.
journey, right? And it
Yeah.
is magical, really, when you take on something like this. I mean, you just think, oh, well, just write a chapter. Yeah, no. It's not just anything, is it?
No. And it was a reconnection to writing because I had written it. Writing had always actually been easier for me than speaking. And I practiced that with a cousin of mine. We wrote pages and pages for years and years, like really dozen pages. She was in Texas and I was in Oklahoma. And as soon as I got one, I'd write one. It just was constant. And it took me later to go, oh, we were practicing all that time. We didn't know it.
Right?
And
Yeah.
now with this chapter, also getting to that moment of rewriting the chapter. And but but I didn't know it could be so much fun. And then I got in a writing group. It led me to that. It was like, oh, it's time for that. And just to have that practice every day in the morning at 6 a.m. with these other amazing women that just to discover their writing is like so developed and they're published already and all that stuff. And I get to learn more.
What a beautiful thing to share. I'm sitting here thinking about the power. I mean, the power of the written word is amazing anyway, but then the power of a group of women getting together and sharing their writing. Wow, that's incredible. It must be like over the top.
It is. It is. And we just like stimulate each other and we're coming from so many different ways. We're not just like a group of women that are just like-minded necessarily, but we're all willing to just be with each other and learn from each other. Yeah. And we're all about the same age, I think.
And
We're all older women.
that's
We're elders, let's say.
well, and thank you.
Mhm.
I honor that. I honor you for that, and thank you for holding that space and being willing to step into that space because something our society tends to forget, but we need
Exactly.
the elders. Good heavens! I mean, if we didn't have, I don't even want to think about it. It
Right.
would be a very scary prospect, really, not to have elders. So thank you for
Yes.
owning that space. And I was just going back to, you were talking about home birthing and being pioneers around that, and I just
Yeah.
wanted to share with you quickly. When my mom was pregnant with me, my parents, I was the fourth child, and my parents had been traveling all over the country, and they would find a place they liked, and they would just find an apartment or whatever, and stay until they were ready to leave, and then they would just leave. And so when my mom was pregnant with me, they had decided that it was time to go. And so they were, I don't know, I think they were in Colorado or somewhere. And so they had this pickup truck with a camper on the back, and that's what they lived in when they weren't, in a place.
With 4 children, of course. They
Yes,
were
of course, the young children in the back, and there was, a little crawl space in the back window, where if need be, there could be some back and forth or whatever. So my mom, by this point, like really, really did not, wasn't into the idea of a hospital birth again.
okay. Mhm.
And so she wanted to have me without, a hospital. But she also was taking into consideration that we're going to be on the road and I'm pregnant and I don't know, we don't really know where we're going and when we're going to get there. So what if I go into labor, while we're in the middle of nowhere? So
Mhm.
my sister was the eldest, and so she got her together. They started studying, before they left, like go to the library, check out books. Didn't have Google at that time, so go to the library,
Right.
check out books. How do we do this? If it happens, what do we do? So they had read up on it and prepared and all of that, and it didn't happen.
Ah,
They got to Pensacola, Florida. I don't even know how they decided to go there or why that was where they stopped, but Hurricane Camille was in the area.
Oh my gosh.
And so yeah, I love this. She just retold me this part recently, and I just howled because I thought it was so funny. Because they had found a house to move into, but they couldn't move into it yet. So they went across the bridge and camped overnight. And the next day, as everybody was evacuating, they were supposed to be moving in. So they loaded up and drove over and moved into the house. And so, here's my mom, well, she never got really big, but I'm sure she felt huge and ready to
Yeah.
pop. And it was still like a couple more weeks before I decided to come. But
Wow.
so she ended up having me in a hospital, but she really, really wanted, she would have
Oh,
loved to have had you in her world at that time, I'm sure, to help her guide her because she didn't know anybody, who.
exactly. She didn't already have her little tribe of women. Yeah. So that means God, kudos to her because she did do it alone. Being a mom
Well, she was
alone.
prepared. She didn't get to. She did at the hospital, but she said, I kept trying to delay. I knew it was time for you to come, and I just kept trying to delay. And your dad just wouldn't, he kept saying, we got to go to the hospital. We have to go to the hospital. And she said, then when they got there, the doctor said, no, you're not ready yet. Go home and, wait until you're ready and then come back. And so she said, I just kept trying to wait and trying to wait. And, I was just upset, and he insisted we had to go. So then it ended up, they had to break her water, whatever. So she had
Well,
to.
that was really wise of her to be in the home environment as much as she could anyway.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I what I really meant was that she was doing motherhood alone. And see, I didn't have that experience, and that's why I have a movement that is Healthy Moms, Healthy World, and
Mhm,
it is working with moms to make sure. And actually now, because we have these wonderful Zooms,
mhm,
there are so many women that come together now, and I just know that that's also a part of these times where frequencies are more a common conversation. And to me, it's the frequencies, the vibrations, and energy. It's the Tesla trifecta. Now it's
mhm,
quantum physics, and it all is proving what's been here all along and why we even got to be here on the planet this long.
mhm.
So we have all those tools, we have all the moms coming together. And yeah, it's my commitment is that motherhood is honored as the source of world peace.
Mm,
And and that includes nurturing in every way. I just can't not include every human. So we all have that nurturing part of the feminine, and
absolutely,
including men, including ourselves, we have that masculine part that comes out too.
absolutely,
So
absolutely. And I love that you brought that into a whole perspective of honoring motherhood and how important that is because, I mean, we live on a planet that is I mean, we call it Mother Earth.
yes,
How can we not honor motherhood when we live
yes.
on something we call a mother, And I think that is so important too. And that's a part of what my mom raised me with, because by the time I came along, then they decided to settle down. And so she raised me on an organic farm. And
Oh,
I
how
was taught
wonderful.
from, very early age to honor the earth. And, we would go out in the morning looking for dew on spider webs and whatever, and I was taught, to garden and to gather and to prepare, all of that. And to be a steward of the earth. And
Yep.
now there's something called shoot, now I started to say it, I forgot it. Regenerative farming. And
Ah,
that is more of an expansive version from my understanding, where it's not just about not using chemicals. It's about, okay, well, if I'm going to plant peanuts in this area, there's a hawk that lives in this area too. Like, how does that affect the hawk? Like, look at the whole picture.
yes.
And there's a very strong sort of understanding with this regenerative farming that is a very feminine thing to be doing, and it's honoring the feminine, and obviously the earth mother, the divine mother, all of it, comes into play, because regenerative farming then becomes sort of a way of life, which I think is so wise to
Oh,
really look at this all in this sort of perspective, because we've been, I from my point of view, we have been sort of chopped off and compartmentalizing everything. And now I think we get to sort of move into a more flow, more cohesive, more interactive, synergistic way of being and doing everything. And uh, obviously, women, because that is our main driving force, because we are the females, is that creation, that creative spark, and for us to be leading that, and and creating that spark is absolutely right on point, I think. So,
Yes.
mm,
Thank you for all of that.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I just am um so this is where I get to be the elder and I get to be proud that you have all that within you and get to speak about it and share it with everybody. I love it. It's just
You for being younger. I really, and that is another thing. We need, we must respect our elders. That's
Mhm.
the wisdom, and it's so wonderful. So thank you for holding that space for us all, and would love to know, because you've already spoken about finding your tribe and finding your female group, and having that support, and you have obviously in various forms you have that in your life, and you've created that for yourself. And with this book, writing this book, Rada Publishing House is all about community and feminine community and sisterhood and all of that. So that's something that's obviously important to you and important in your life. So I would just love to hear more of your thoughts on how that has played into this journey for you with your chapter and this birthing of this book that we're doing together.
Well, that's a really great question because you're just really having me look in a couple of different places. Like when I think of the book itself, and I mean, and the chapter, um, and really it's sharing, that here's Amma. She is an earth goddess. She is of the divine. Her job on the planet is giving hugs that are so well, they're miraculous and not, even well, and mine was a miracle. And that's not uncommon. And when you go and it is completely packed full of people that take numbers, and the hugs go, she goes and goes and goes for hours and hours and hours hugging, and to witness every single hug having so much love is like, you're just not going to see it anywhere else. And just, even if you go and you don't have a hug, I've gone times to where just I made it when she had left the room, and I sat in the room and I went, oh, this year this is how I get to be with her and just feel her in there. And I mean, you and I are empaths, so that, I mean, and probably most everybody watching these. But it is the type of energy to me that is who we really are. And so basking in it and just allowing us to be with that light and have it be a part of our lives, then it affects the rest of, you know, the people in our lives, but also their lives. So that's what she's doing, and that's what we get to do in our version. But it is her level of her divinity that's grounded on the planet more than I am. No, I won't say more than I am, but but I've come to my light through having left my body, and I think it remained a preference for a very long time. But actually, to do the work we came here to do, we got to be grounded. So that's why I picked that. It was called Grounded Goddess first, and then when we came together as women in our community, it was obvious to everyone that it was called Earth Goddess, and I was like, yay,
I
that
love
sounded so much more simple.
love
And
that
then
too.
when I told a friend, she said, "Well, Selma, that's you." And I was like, "Thank you."
So I just really love what you just brought into your answer, because, and you can correct me if this is not what you meant, but this is how it landed with me, is that in coming together as a group of women and creating, everybody contributing to this book that has a common theme, that it has been, it's been almost like having a huge hug from these women that you didn't know necessarily. Most of us don't know each other or didn't know each other, but have come to know each other in bits and pieces, and that have been not just, random bits and pieces. They've obviously come and landed in a very, very divine, perfect way. But with all these pieces, and with the working together and held in the community and space of Rada Publishing House, holding that space for us that they created and so lovingly hold it open and support us in, it's been like this gigantic hug. And that is just such a beautiful way of looking at this book and this particular work that we have been doing. And I would just really love personally to to just infuse the book with that energy, as I'm sure it probably already is, but just to
Yes.
sort of throw it out there to the audience. Like, if you read this book, like, I really hope that you feel like you've been hugged, or every time you see it or every time you open it, like, you just feel this loving embrace from all of us who have come together and put our love into the writing. So
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
mhm,
absolutely. And I want to give to you that the part of that is, our coming together right before this call, and knowing that your uh, approach in life is also living it throughout the day, which is something that I spoke in the other interview that I had done also, that it is like setting yourself up a particular way, because we're human, we're on this planet, we're gonna fail, we're gonna forget, is what I usually say.
mhm,
And so, how many reminders do you have? How many tools do you have to have you stay uplifted?
mhm.
And in that upliftment, in the heightening of your frequency, then anything is possible. We know that, and that's what's like so precious. And it's, along with the preciousness, is that playfulness that I mentioned. One of my other favorite things to do, and I just am gonna have a course in weather whispering. I've gotten it to where it is such a common way to be able to work with the weather that it's just like ridiculous how simple it is.
Ooh, that's exciting.
So
Let's
it's working with energy. We've worked with energy. I've done it for many decades. So it isn't different. It's a different realm to
mhm,
play
yeah. Well,
in.
and I think, from my personal experience, and particularly because I've recently been very connected with the thinning of the veil, um, in my personal experience, it seems to me that it is becoming more and more frequent that more and more people are more connected more of the time.
Yes, absolutely.
I am delighted about. It's like I feel like I live in a real world Harry Potter movie, but
That's
but
awesome. Yes,
even better, and
sure.
it's so much
Because
fun.
it's real.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
It's as real as he is, I guess. I don't know.
Right, as real as it gets.
Real to us.
It is real.
Our Yeah,
Yeah, exactly,
our
exactly.
Harry Potter world is as real to us as his
Yeah,
is.
that's right, exactly. So, Salma, what have you got going on? Do you have anything going on currently that you would like to share with us, and let us know how people who
Yeah.
want to know more about
Um,
you, like me, can find you? I mean, I know
yeah.
how, but how can other people?
Well, just reiterating that, Thursday is the launch of the book. And I want to say also it is beautiful. It is like so representing the beauty of the goddess. You
Mhm.
just won't even believe how beautiful it is. It was just like, what? It's stunning.
Amazing.
Um, and that, let's see what else about the book. It really is that pretty. Um,
It really is. I love it. Look at the
well,
colors.
oh, and then you asked me what I'm up to, and that is that, uh, just taking on the expansion of the Healthy Moms, Healthy World in such a way that I can support moms in what they want and what is needed now. I mean, yes, I've lived, throughout. Oh, and guess what? I'm not a grandmother. I like to say that only because, not because I didn't want them. I wanted to be a grandmother, but I doted on them so much, I didn't ever create that. I mean, I never paid attention to that. And it's not just all on me. It is how they, their choice and all of that. But but out of that, let me see if I got like a little lost in that for myself. Just wanting to know, what it is that has moms, be the moms that they are, and the ones not all of them know. And there are lots of women who grow up like your mom without the connection of mothers, even though they're on Zoom. They might, isolation of motherhood is something that came along with cities.
Mm.
We were always groups of women hanging together and supporting each other and birthing and nursing and all of that together. And so the moms that do it on their own, that's why I was honoring your mother who ended up doing that. Sometimes they don't have their own mothers.
Mhm.
And my mother, she had 4 children, but she wasn't really about, it was wonderful. She was great. And I love what we had. She wasn't about mothering particularly, and she was also on her own. I don't know that it was missing for her. So really getting wherever people are. And I think that's the next level of looking at motherhood. And I really only came to that recently, that uh, there's something about, again, like we mentioned, about being in that writing group and accepting women wherever they are, different approaches. We have a doctor in there, actually 2 different doctors, and a doctorate and 2 published authors, and a veterinarian who is this massive fundraiser, and
Uh,
just, such a huge variety.
Lots of life.
Another woman who's an artist, and we're predominantly artists. We lived in an artist community. Our kids were raised in an environment kind of like what you described, and we also had so much travels in a camper at one point that my daughter went off to flamenco training in Spain with her troupe. And when
Oh,
she came back, she goes, "Mom, we're not hippies, we're gypsies." And we are. I totally get it.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's wherever people are and what they bring to the conversation. I think that is the unity, that is the oneness that we are, and to have our listening grow such that no matter what people say, it's really doing their best to share who they are and their heart, and listen for that, whatever that is, and how could that come together, and how can that be something even when it's horrific and you don't want to hear it, and there's plenty of that, but at least there's a place to send prayer, and not to fix it, but just to lighten up the frequency. There's nothing for us to do about it other than embrace it, maybe.
Beautiful. Thank you, Selma. And so when you say it, wait a minute, it's healthy moms, healthy
World.
world.
Yes.
So when you say healthy, healthy mom, what is your focus on healthy there?
Ah, good. Healthy moms, healthy world, because I'm bringing my idea is bringing the support and the self care that is often missing, um, completely, for one thing, in in a world that, gets so busy. Even people that are health minded can let that part of themselves go. And it just at different times in life, it becomes not the priority at this minute, and then the habits can fall away. So focus on how can that be in your day in such a way that there's so much ease that it becomes your life, um, integrated in the background of what you do.
And so
And
we're really looking at healthy as in and as in all of the aspects, physical, mental, emotional, like healthy.
yes, and even wealth, because the I'm thinking of like the earth, the way you were describing the regenerative, what a teaching that is, and how could people begin teaching that on a broader level and be paid for that and have that be, a growth and a way for them to not. It's not that the city's bad, of course it's fun, but it's just balancing the growth, maybe,
Yeah.
to have as much available in a different way in regenerating the earth, because it's we can't be without it.
No. That's an excellent point. Thank you, Selma. No, we can't be without it.
Well, that's it. It's kind of like pointing out the obvious. For me, it's obvious
Right.
that, mothers have to take care of themselves first. Then it gets passed on to the kids, and then they know. And then guess what? It impacts the whole world. That's mainly it.
Beautiful. Thank you. It's like a regenerative health, right?
There
It's
you
all
go.
the
Thank
whole
you.
picture, the whole,
Yes.
right? So,
Regenerative earth, regenerative moms, regenerative health. Yes. Yeah.
right. And so then for anyone who wants to find you, where do they go?
It's called ReikiYogaMagic.com. Yeah.
ReikiYogaMagic.com. ReikiYogaMagic.com. That's wonderful. I love
Yes.
that name. I probably
Yes.
will not forget that.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
thank you, Selma, so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule, because obviously you have a lot of things that you do. So thank you for taking time out of your busy
Yes.
schedule to come and sit with
Sure.
me.
And the Healthy Moms Healthy World is a Facebook page, and you're
Oh,
welcome to join, and we'll find the link and include that too by the
okay.
time this comes out.
Healthy World on Facebook. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that, Selma. And other than that, please don't forget March the 23rd is the pre-launch of the book Stories of the Goddess, Divine Feminine Frequency Keepers. And yes, I would say get that ASAP. We will be putting links out there. There will be one as soon as I get it. There will be one on this page as well. So thank you so much, everybody, for sitting with us today and for sharing and expanding and being a part of this beautiful circle of humans on a divine journey.
Yes.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
Thank you.